And I'm back! And just like my Lucifer, Leviathan, Asmodeus, and Belphegor, and Beelzebub videos, I will be making my interpretation of Lilith with the added commentary on Hazbin Hotel's Lilith, since they're the only show that is currently bringing in these aspects of biblical lore. And don't say, what about Good Omens? I'm aware they're a biblical lore type of show, but they're doing their own thing. Now, at the time of writing this, we still know absolutely nothing about Lilith, other than the typical she didn't want to submit to Adam and fell for Lucifer, which is almost biblically accurate. But Lilith comes from Jewish mythology, so Lucifer in that storyline is Samael, and they got a whole other thing going on. But yeah, Viv's version of Lilith is pretty much the most basic description, minus the hair color, and as for her character, well, we'll just have to wait and see, because if my sources are correct, we're not gonna like the twist they have planned.
I know something you don't.
But I did find out some other fun stuff about her that did kind of influence my design a bit. Like, for one, Viv had voice claimed Lady Gaga, to which, wow, big shoes to fill for whoever's voicing her currently. But I do gotta say, her design doesn't really give Lady Gaga vibes. And yeah, I know you don't have to design a character based around a voice actor, but I mean, it's Lady Gaga, so yeah. She also said that Lilith and Lucifer have a Gomez and Morticia type love, which, wow, that went out the window. Or not, still not sure if the twist plays into Lucifer and Lilith separating. But yeah, I know Viv wasn't referencing Morticia in the design, but I mean, a Morticia and Lady Gaga based character sounds amazing, yet we get generic white girl number 56,000. Like, Lilith's a pretty interesting character and could honestly be designed to look any particular way, since she's got so much biblical lore about her, along with being a controversial figure in biblical lore and mythology, since Lilith's character has evolved throughout the years. She began mostly as a female demon common in many Middle Eastern cultures, appearing in the Book of Isaiah, the Babylonian Talmud, and incantation bowls from ancient Iraq and Iran. She is described as threatening the sexual and reproductive aspects of life, especially childbirth. A medieval Jewish text called the Alphabet of Ben Sira describes her as Adam's first wife, who disobeyed him and God and asserted her equality to Adam, giving her the legendary origin to her demonic behavior. She also appears in the Kabbalah as an evil reflection of the feminine aspect of God along with Samael, and for a time was used as a propaganda type figure as a way to scare women, but it kind of had the opposite effect, as Jewish feminists liked her assertion of equality and reclaimed Lilith as a symbol of autonomy, independence, and sexual liberation, which is just really cool in my opinion. Also, if we dig a little bit deeper, a lot of sources imply that she is based off of Baba Yaga, which is why in some texts she's depicted with owl features or just with owls. She's kind of placed in all manners of texts and cultures as a promiscuous witch/vixen, which leads me to believe that Lilith was probably just a symbolic name for a type of demonic woman. I mean, with the added lore of there being two Liliths, like there's a more in-depth version of the story. I can't exactly find the name of the story, but it's like text of a text of a text kind of situation, where lesser Lilith, aka younger Lilith, who is technically a demonic princess, is married to Asmodeus, and they have twin sons who go on to be the root of evil and the sword of Michael. So yeah, it kind of gives the impression that many demonic wives were named Lilith due to it just being easier to name them the same thing. Either way, seeing as Hazbin Hotel is taking from the Jewish mythology, I figured I'd do the same, and let me tell you, the lore is extra crazy if you dig even deeper. So let's get into it. So the text has many versions of Lilith, since she originally was just seen as a demoness, but due to the ambiguity of Lilith, she has been reworked into a lot of literature and art. One story tells that Lilith refused to lay beneath Adam during sex. She believed they were created equal, both from the dust of the earth. Thus, she would not have to lay beneath him. After Adam disagreed, Lilith fled the Garden of Eden to gain her independence. Adam told God that Lilith had left, and God sent 3 angels, I'm not going to be able to say these names, to retrieve her. The 3 angels found Lilith in a cave bearing the children of Samael, the angel of death. Lilith refused to come back to the garden, and the angels told her that they would kill 100 of her children every day for her disobedience, which they did do. So in revenge for her lost children, she is said to rob children of life and is responsible for the deaths of stillborn infants and crib deaths. Although Lilith stole children's lives in the night, however, if your child had the amulets of the 3 angels, she wouldn't be able to kill them. There's also a few other things where I think if you put a sword under your baby's crib, that it would protect them from Lilith as well. I think that's also where the changeling lore comes from. Adam, where either witches or fairies would come and swap their babies with a human baby and leave behind this like devilish baby. Mythology and Bible lore kind of go hand in hand of each other if you dig hard enough. If you see the similarities. But yeah, after many days of the angels killing her kids, she did try to go back to the garden, but upon arrival, she discovered that Adam already had another mate, Eve. Out of revenge, Lilith had sex with Adam while he was sleeping and stole his seed. With his seed, she bared Lilium, earthbound demons to replace her children, giving her the title of Mother of Demons. As for her actual description, it also kind of varies, since in the Jewish mythology, she's a fair-skinned redhead woman, which I should point out was just a weird thing with religion back then. For some reason, redheads were seen as sinful, since most of the sinful characters depicted in the lore had red hair. I mostly think it was because the color was so unusual and because red was seen as the devil's color or just as a symbol for fiery passion, which was not the vibe back then. But other texts describe Lilith as the first succubus, so if that's the case, she'd be more bat-like or goat-like. But since succubus have the ability to shapeshift, I don't think it truly mattered what Lilith looked like as long as she was tantalizing. So for this reimagined version, I did just that. I made her more of a mix of a bat and sheep, just to push the monster elements more. I'll probably do a more humanoid design, but that'll be for later. Anyway, I gave her bull horns with a more crown-like cut as a hint to Asmodeus, because even though they're not married, they do share the sin of lust. I made the skin around her horns ripped up because I really loved whenever Charlie went demon mode, her horns would rip out of her head. Like, it was really cool, though it kind of looks like they're not doing that anymore. Anyway, I also gave her goat/human ears, which is where Charlie's ears come from. But Charlie is heavier on the goat side than the human side. I designed her face to be similar to Lady Gaga's, since again, that's who Viv wanted to voice Lilith. But also because ever since she was an American Horror Story as the Countess, who's a vampire, I might add, with fun fact, vampires and succubus are part of the same monster class. So I thought she truly was a perfect reference of the Mother of Demons. I mean, it is a really good idea to reference Lady Gaga for this because, I mean, some of her more biblical tone albums, like, really give off Lilith vibes, if you know what I mean. So I gave her a more oval face and long nose. I also based the colors off of Lady Gaga's Born This Way album and her makeup look from the Applause cover album. I just love the streaking under eye look. Like, it really works well for Lilith since she lost so many children and was forced to go back to Adam only to find he had a new wife. So yeah, symbolic bloody tears, all for it. As for her hair, I referenced two of Lady Gaga's hairstyles, her wild platinum look from when she was on the Wanna Bet TV show back in 2009 and her pristine edged bob from her Fuse interview 2 years ago. I just love the looks. They give this free but glamorous vibe that only she can pull off, because I've had bobs before and let me tell you, it's a hard look to pull off, but she really does it. Plus with the added curl, it gives more fluffy and playful vibes and really gives sheep, you know what I mean? And if you're wondering why sheep, well, sheeps have a big history in biblical lore, but you know them more as sacrificial lambs, which is technically just a baby sheep. And since Lilith was pretty much the sacrificial lamb during her time in the garden, I figured it worked for her character. Also, yes, I did make her extra thick. I mean, she had like thousands of kids, so yeah. The dress kind of hides how I drew her body, so here's the sketch. I also gave her stretch marks on her chest because, again, she had a lot of kids. And I've been told by many of my family members that your chest gets pretty big when pregnant. I mean, my chest is big, so I have stretch marks regardless. But it's a whole other ballpark when you're pregnant. Anyway, I designed her dress after my top favorite designs from the classic 1990s Cruella de Vil live action 101 Dalmatians. I mean, come on, look at these. They're stunning. Her office look is fire. But that hat, I had to give it to Lilith. Cruella's snakeskin dress with the ostrich feathers and formal gloves, chef's kiss, and this black and white claw look that I just know is a reference to Terry Mueller's Haute Couture collection from 1997. Hell, I'd say almost all her outfits were a reference to him, which works since Lady Gaga's bug suit from her, I'm probably gonna say this wrong, Chromantica ball was probably a reference to this dress, so full circle. So yeah, I took inspiration of all these looks. I gave Lilith full-length claw gloves gloves with fur at the top, and to be honest, the whole thing's made of fur, hence why the elbows are fluffy. Gave her a cup claw bodice and high neck, open chest shoulder pads, or in this case, shoulder spikes, with jeweled eyes to go with her diamond fascinator hat, which has a veil, cause why not? The bottom portion of her dress is meant to be folded bat wings, so when she goes full demon, they unfold. The under part of her dress is just a simple ripped red dress. I didn't know exactly what to do with the bottom part of it. Like, I knew I didn't want to do a full-length dress, but I couldn't think of anything that could work, so the bottom half is liable to change. And her legs, they're sheep legs. I can't explain it any other way than she's a sheep lady, but I guess I did go a bit harder on the shape. I wanted them to look more broken and as less human as possible. And then her tail, simple sheared sheep's tail. Oh, I know Lilith is often depicted with red hair, but with Lucifer also having red hair from the fall, it just seemed too samey. But I will give some praise to Viv for also not going the redhead route, even if she still kept Lucifer blonde, so yeah. But the color I went with was a more gray look, mostly to balance with her white skin, but also give her this vibe that she's much older than she appears, and has a lot of wisdom, since for some reason people assume gray hair means you're wise, but also because of the whole owl thing. I also gave her more demonic eyes, similar to the Hellhounds, just reversed, to really make her feel unsettling. Either way, I'm extremely proud of this design, and I think she's the perfect balance of sexy and haunting. But now let's just get into the lore, because I have a treat for y'all at the end. Lore time! Lucifer and Lilith are still together in this version, but hide their affection in public, mostly so their subjects and citizens don't see them as weak for being a somewhat normal couple and family. Lilith still performs, but mostly for high-ranking parties and shows and other rings. Pride citizens only ever see Lilith during ceremonies or during Hell's Fashion Week, which is online/TV. Lilith also works very closely with Asmodeus and helps train some of the succubus and incubus going to Earth. She also goes to Earth as well, but more to help women elevate and not be treated as lesser, hint to a reason why Charlie wants to help people. And I know the show wants Lucifer and Charlie to have a weird daddy issue thing, but nearly every character has daddy issues, so I kind of scrapped that to where Lucifer and Lilith coddled and sheltered Charlie to the point she has a more angelic viewpoint of the world when hell is anything but. And to be somewhat fair, Lilith did lose a lot of her kids, and the ones that lived and went on died during the war, and their families went on and died off since they didn't live as long as Lilith and Lucifer did. There are a few distant relatives, but they're completely unaware of their connections to the royal family. So yeah, Lilith, after years of grieving and healing, had Charlie and pretty much overindulged in keeping her safe, with also a lot of spoiling. Lucifer also kind of joined in a bit, but did hold Lilith back a bit for a few things. And now kind of wishes they'd raised her differently, since she cares so much for human sinners. He can tolerate his wife helping Earth women, but he draws the line to all human sinners. Anyway, for Lilith's personality, I mixed, you guessed it, Morticia Addams, Lady Gaga, and Cruella de Vil. So she's very encouraging and macabre, but also cutthroat and at a little times crazy. She also loves deeply and wants the best for her family. As for her relationships with the other sins, it's pretty simple. She's weirdly friends with all of them, even Maman. She and Asmodeus are best friends and often work together and hang out. Obviously to Lucifer's annoyance. Her other best friend is Beelzebub. They gossip and talk about their kids like all mothers do. She and Leviathan are frenemies. They respect one another for their roles in biblical history, but Lilith is very aware on how toxic Leviathan is and how they're trying to go after her husband's position, so bitch stays ready. Her and Maman's relationship is a little bit complicated, as she's kind of taken on a mother role with him due to his gold sickness and tries to check up on him every once in a while to make sure he's doing good. Satan and Lilith are workout buddies. Not very many people are friends with Satan or want to hang out. And Belphegor has Lilith over for dinner every so often, as they became close during the war, and she kind of sees him as a father figure. For those of you who do not know, I've made Belphegor the oldest out of the 7 sins, so think of him like grandpa age, whereas the rest are like in their 30s to 40s. So yeah, that's why Lilith and Belphegor have more of a daughter-father type of role going on, because he is grandpa. He is the OG grandpa. But that's about it. Now for the surprise. Me, Lou, aka Louie, yes, like the duck. And if you're wondering who this is, well, me and a few people in my community tab were talking about how Lucifer in the show, and I can't be more clear, looks like Charlie's brother than her father due to his height, design, voice, and lack of visual age. So I thought it would be funny and somewhat smart to remake him into just that. Charlie's brother and Lilith's second child, this time raised with less coddling, spoiling, and with more interest of making him Lucifer's replacement, but he's currently just doing small tasks. Anyway, the design is pretty simple. I wanted something more royal looking compared to Charlie. It's a lesser version of reimagined Lucifer, so I put him in a simple puffy black long sleeve turtleneck with pointed hand sleeves and gave him a crop split poncho with a high cuffed collar with gold embellishments and golden shoulder pads with pentagrams. And similar to Lucifer, I made the gold more muted to show their angelic colors have dimmed. I also put him in a gold belt and put him in simple fitted purple pants. Oh, also, I did go back and recolored Lucifer's outfit to have a more purple hue since Pride's color is purple, but since Lucifer is a fallen angel and hates his position, I figured a more muted dusty purple would work for his character, while Lou's purple color is a bit more brighter due to him being less jaded, but also trying to emulate his father, so hence why it's more muted. If he was allowed to do what he wanted and had a personality similar to Charlie's, his colors would be much brighter purples. Anyway, I also gave him black ankle boots with gold tips to match with a shirt. As for his overall appearance, I wanted to make sure he looked like a good mix between his mother and father, but also favor his father more in the face, since that's the parent he'll be taking over for. So I gave him Lilith's ears, but made them smaller, Lucifer's pushed back hair, but styled it more to Lou's liking. I gave him Lilith's eye color style, but with Lucifer's eye color. I also gave him golden tip fingers, a nod to Lilith, and his tail and legs also Lilith, but the bat wings are a combination of both parents. Both have bat wings, including Charlie. Just Lucifer and Charlie are able to hide theirs, while Lilith and Lou are not. The only thing that both Charlie and Lou have in common is their cheek marks, and this is due to Lucifer's angelic appearance being in the mix, which explains why Lou's hair is more blonde, and with this hair color makes him look even more like his father before the fall, which Lucifer kind of has an unhealthy obsession over. He loves Lou, but can't help but see his old self. Lou also wears a black thorn crown, similar to Pilot Lilith's crown. I always really loved it and the shape of it, but I always felt it was kind of overcrowded on Lilith, specifically because of the horns, the hair, and then you add the horned crown, so it's just like three things fighting for your attention. So I gave it to Lou to even some stuff out. Also, Charlie does have a similar one. She just refuses to wear it. Now for the lore. So Lou is very close with Lilith. He's not exactly a mama's boy, but more of a she's the only parent around situation. Due to Lucifer's issue with sinners, he refuses to leave the castle to deal with them, so Lou has to do it, and Lilith will often go with him to supervise. Lou is nothing like Charlie. They're pretty much complete opposites personality-wise. He's more pessimistic and truly sees sinners for what they are, but unlike his dad, he doesn't hate them. He finds them annoying and chaotic, and he prefers the overlords over the run-of-the-mill sinners, since they have more tact and get that hell isn't just a warped playground. Though that doesn't really mean he's actually close with any of them, and when he finds out that Alistair is at Charlie's hotel, he's extremely suspicious and trusts nothing Alistair says to him. Oh, and though Charlie and Lou may look close in age, they're actually pretty far apart in age. Think like a 10-year age gap, but vampire math it. So they don't really get each other or had a lot of interactions growing up, so their relationship is a little awkward. There is some family-like bond that they have, but it's very small. And though Lou's relationship with the Sins is non-existent, he has met them, sure, but he has no actual connection or thought about them since his dad and mom take care of anything that has to do with them. And the fact that they see him as a baby, his only real connection is Belphegor's grandson, Coda. They have a more of a big brother, little brother type of bond, and Coda's pretty much the only one that lets Lou experience what being a kid is like, because Lilith and Lucifer have their own thing going on, and they're trying to mold their son into the future king of hell, so it's like, so they're not really thinking too clearly on how they're treating their son in the long haul. But that's all I got so far. I mean, most of this might change with the overhaul I'm doing, but we'll see. Anyway, this was a lot, but still a lot of fun. I'm gonna try and get my review for episode 2 and 3 ready, but I might also just drop redesign Velvet first, since I'm not gonna do like a full video like I usually do, because I've already talked about Velvet in length, but I do want to talk about the design that I finally settled on, if that makes sense. Anyway, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and me. I hope you all have a super fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one.